What is the short-term and long-term vision at point guard for the Washington Wizards? Can Malcolm Brogdon stay healthy this season? And is Alex Sarr the face of the franchise? And if not, who is or who should be? We're going to talk about all that and more next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's really good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, and I appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, everybody, we have a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to look at the point guard position. What is the short-term and long-term vision at point guard in DC? Malcolm Brogdon brought in the trade, sending Denny Avila to Portland. We know he's going to be a mentor, but the question is, can he stay healthy? We're going to take a look at his resume and his track record and really break down what they expect from him this season. And Alex Sarr, is he the face of the franchise? And if not, who very well could be? So, like I said, we're going to get into all that and more real quick. Let me go ahead and change my little side thing to let you guys know what's going on tonight. My bad, so give me a second. Boop, there we go. All right, so let's get into it. What is the short-term and long-term vision at point guard for the Washington Wizards this season and beyond, man? What is the short-term and long-term vision? Well, as we know, Will Dawkins and company in the front office has made it known that they are going to invest heavily in the backcourt of Jordan Poole and Bob Carrington. But looking at contracts can get a little shaky in 3 to 4 years. Major decisions will need to be made. So looking at the short-term vision, I definitely think that this season and definitely for the next 3 seasons, man, Jordan Poole is going to be your starting point guard. The reason for that, if you look at him again, I brought up many times on this platform that, last year when they were number 1 in pace, they were a team that when they really attacked teams in transition, they were a better team. They were better able to utilize the personnel they had on the roster. And I think that if they want to find some success, look, we all know they're not going to be very, very good. They may win 5 more games this year as opposed to last year, but the wins and losses are not a concern this season. Progression of young talent is. And how do you get the most out of players like Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Bob Carrington? You got to get these guys to run, man, because these are guys who got some wheels on them and they're built to run. So I think you definitely have to push the pace. And I think that is attainable with Jordan Poole being the point guard. Now, Bubba Carrington, he's obviously not going to be a backcourt mate of Jordan Poole this season. He could be in the second half, especially they're going to move Malcolm Brogdon at some point. Jonas Valanciunas is going to be moved at some point. We'll see what the future holds for Johnny Davis. Jared Butler, last year of his contract being a full contract. I had a brain fart, man. Fully guaranteed, my bad. This will be his last year of a fully guaranteed contract. So, Bob Carrington could be part of the backcourt with Jordan Poole in the second half of the season, especially after we move on from a lot of these vets, especially Malcolm Brogdon and Jonas Valanciunas. So, definitely the short-term vision point guard is eventually you're going to see a backcourt where Jordan Poole and Bob Carrington share the backcourt. Bob Carrington can play without, off ball. He's a guy who's a sniper. He's a scoring-minded guard. Yes, he's a scoring-minded combo guard who can also play point guard. And we're going to get to that in the future in a little bit because, he very well could be holding down starting point guard after 3 years. And I'm telling you guys why, especially if you look at the contract situation in 3 years with the Washington Wizards. So short-term, definitely in the first half of the season coming up is going to be Jordan Poole. Now, who do they put at 2 guard till the trade deadline? And when you see a lot of these moves for these veteran players, Bilal Coulibaly is a guy that I think is going to be the starting 2 guard. I think with his defense, his offense, we all know is very raw. You definitely want to see some progression in year 2, but he's still a year or 2 away from showing massive progression of a breakout campaign. But with his defense, he's going to show up a lot of the defensive deficiencies that Jordan Poole has. Now, Jordan Poole did show a lot of improvement on the defensive side, a lot more effort, a lot more energy on the defensive side. But right now, he's still not that lockdown guy. In the mold of a John Wall, which John Wall was a heck of a defender. He was a all defensive team type of defender. Jordan Poole, more of a scoring-minded guard, but I think the defense will get better in time, especially if, once he starts working out with Malcolm Brogdon, a lot of these vets on the team, and also Brian Keefe. We talk about the young guys. Jordan Poole, we don't talk enough about being a young guy. Excuse me, everybody. So he's a guy that I definitely think that Brian Keefe and company are going to develop further, try to add certain pieces to his game as far as being that point guard, as opposed to being a scoring-minded combo guard. But what is the long-term vision? So right now, before we get into long-term vision, short-term vision is definitely Jordan Poole's going to hold down starting point guard in the first half. We'll see. I definitely think that Bilal Coulibaly is going to be your two guard. Could it be Kispert? Could it be other? Could Malcolm Brogdon be the two guard, or could they turn around and because they want to showcase Malcolm Brogdon, especially if he stays healthy, you could see a scenario where Malcolm Brogdon starts out as a starting point guard. Jordan Poole plays two guard, and I get it. Before you guys say anything, Jordan Poole has proven that can he play off ball? Yes, but he's best with the ball in his hands. But at least for the first half, I don't think that would be a problem with Jordan Poole. And like I said, he's a guy who very versatile, very willing to play six man, change the position, two guard, point guard. He's a guy who looks at this as what is best for the team. And that's what I'm saying, that he's definitely a kind of a low key leader on his team, because he's a guy that I definitely know that he's going to do what's best for the team. So if they require him to play two guard while Malcolm Brogdon is here the first half of the season, you could see that scenario. But after, definitely for sure, 100% after the deadline, you're going to see Jordan Poole as a starting point guard. So like I said, Malcolm Brogdon definitely throw some intangibles and what the potential starting five or opening night could be. But I definitely think that Jordan Poole, second half of the season, is going to be that guy. And we'll see if Bob Carrington formally takes over two guard and they share the backcourt, or if they take up next year. We will definitely see. So that is my short-term vision of what the point guard situation is in DC. Now, what is the long-term vision? And this is where salaries come into play. So let's take a look at the salaries real quick, because like I said, 3-year plan, man. If you look at the list of players who are in 3-year contracts, Jordan Poole 3 years, Kyle Kuzma 3 years, down the list, Saddiq Bey 3 years. So what is the biggest thing that happens in 3 years? Bilal Coulibaly becomes eligible for his rookie extension, and I think that a lot of this money have to come off the books, because after excuse me, guys, after Bilal Coulibaly, you got Alex Sarr, you got Bob Carrington. Do they re-sign Keyshawn George? After that, you're looking at the Cooper Flag draft. So you're looking at a top end talent like Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, and if he trades back into the lottery or back into the first round, you're looking at another guy. So a lot of these veteran contracts have to be off the books. Now, looking at Jordan Poole, he's a guy where, if you look at his age, man, he very well could be part of the future long term. Like I said, I've said it time and time again. I'm not going to say it anymore about the timeline. Like I said, right now the timeline, truly, what is the timeline is still up in the air, right? We don't know truly what the timeline is. With the trade of Denny Avia to the Portland Trail Blazers for what ended up being their 14th overall pick, ended up being Bob Carrington. You can argue 23 years old. Was he part of the vision long? Going forward, yes. But has it changed? Well, yes and no. I mean, if you look at the fact that all 5 draft picks are under 21, it gives you an indicator. But then if you look at the fact that we signed Saddiq Bey and Jordan Poole's on the roster, and they are ages 25, and they definitely are still a year or two from hitting their prime. So they could be contributors for this team going forward. But again, best case scenario, right? Jordan Poole lives up to his talent, has an all-star berth. Once you get to his third year, if he pans out and becomes that guy we want him to be, then, and especially if you look at the fact that the cap rises every year, he's going to be asking for a lot more than $34 million, which is what he makes in his last year of his contract, which is the 2026 and 2027 season. So you're going to look at a massive, massive payday for Jordan Poole. And if you're looking to sign Bilal to an extension, Bob Carrington to an extension, Alex Sarr to an extension, definitely, if they play up to snuff, right? If they play at the level we expect them to play, then you're going to re-sign these guys. Now, if they don't, then could be a whole nother scenario. But right now, you're looking at signing a lot of these young guys who are the true, young core. And yeah, I do include Jordan Poole and Saddiq Bey as part of the young core right now. But like I said, it gets more expensive. If he breaks out and really, really hits his prime, hitting the ground running, man, then you're probably going to pay him a lot. And, and there's another thing to kind of think about, guys, is that Ted Leonsis has been very reluctant and has never paid the luxury tax. Now, would he be willing to do so? I think that's a question that can be answered probably in the next couple of years. Right now, he's not going to let us know now, but he's never paid the luxury tax, and he's been very reluctant to do so. Especially when we had John Wall, Bradley Beal re-signing Otto Porter. I believe I don't know if we hit the paid luxury tax. I don't know. I believe so. That might have been the only time, but I mean, he's still overall he's been very hesitant to pay the luxury tax. But if you look at teams like Golden State, you eventually have to if you want to retain these young players. And you best believe after this draft coming up with Cooper Flag and Ace Bailey, you're looking because the question before the show was, is Alex Sarr the face of the franchise? That is the draft where you're going to find the face of the franchise, man. So we're going to get into that question in a little bit. But like I said, the long-term vision right now, because of the contract situation with Jordan Poole, very well could be Bub Carrington. After 3 years, you could see Bub Carrington being that guy at point guard going forward. But like I said, they are investing heavily in this backcourt of Jordan Poole and Bub Carrington. Like I said, I'm a big Jordan Poole fan. I'm a big Bub Carrington fan. Jordan Poole, what he's done off the court in DC, not only with the community, but also working with Alex Sarr, working with Bub Carrington, Bilal Coulibaly. He's shown that a willingness, and he's put the work required to be a guy who should be around for a while. So, like I said, we'll see. Could they still sign him to an extension after his third year? Absolutely. But like I said, the cap rises. And if you're looking to re-sign Bilal, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Cooper Flag, the list goes on. You have to get a lot of these contracts for a lot of these veterans off the books, man. And after 3 years, you're looking at Kyle Kuzma is going to be off the books. Mostly, we'll see about Sadiq Bey. He could be a future piece, but he could also be a guy, including Jordan Poole. Both of them could be guys where they get their value up to a certain degree, and they move on from them and get some assets back. So, like I said, that is a question that could be properly answered. Not so much right now, but probably in a couple of years, man. But it's definitely a question to think about, because if you look at the contract situation, that could be one roadblock in the way of him being here long term, and that's where he could probably pass the baton to Bub Carrington, because like I said, the timeline has changed, man. So you guys get in the comment section, let me know, because like I said, I would love to see JP13 here long term, man. Same thing with Bub Carrington, but like I said, really comes down to one basic question, guys. Is Ted Leonsis willing to pay the luxury tax to really keep a lot of this core together? And like I said, next couple of drafts are very important. So you're going to get a clearer picture within the next couple of years, especially after the Cooper Flag draft. After that, you have Carlos Boozer's son draft. So you have a lot of next couple of drafts have a lot of talent, especially talent that could potentially be the face of your franchise. So we're going to end Malcolm Brogdon, though. The question with him is not so much talent, right? But is availability, because availability is your best ability. And he has had issues with the injury bug. So can Malcolm Brogdon stay healthy in DC? And what would his role be this season for the Washington Wizards? And Alex Sarr, is he the current face of the franchise? Is it Bilal, or is it in this year's draft coming up? But we're going to talk about that and more. But before we do, y'all, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. So you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you guys. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon at a market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. Just visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen of the day. I definitely appreciate that, guys. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On NBA podcast. There is no off-season in the NBA, let me tell y'all. And Locked On NBA provides daily basketball analysis from national and local experts in 30 minutes or less. No one keeps you as informed and entertained as Locked On NBA. Available on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. All right, everybody, let's get into it. Malcolm Brogdon. Now, like I said before, with Malcolm Brogdon, man, UVA guy, it's never been a question of talent, right? He's a former Sixth Man of the Year award with the Boston Celtics. It's been his availability to play, man. He's had the injury bug. And if you look at how much he's making this year, I'm pulling up real quick. I believe it's 22.5, but I don't even want to lie to you, man. So let me go ahead and pull up. Am I right? Hey, I am right, baby. So 22.5. So he's a guy that if he stays healthy and he's productive, he's a guy that you can move on at some point this season. At the deadline, before the deadline, we will see, man. But he is definitely a guy that other teams are going to try to acquire his services, because every contending team, especially in an event of injury or stuff like that, is going to need a guy who has starting potential, who can definitely be a sixth man, and can be that veteran presence on the roster. So I think that he's definitely going to have some trade value. But the question is, can he stay healthy? Let's take a look at his resume, everybody. So looking at he came into the league in 2016 with the Milwaukee Bucks. That year, he played 75 games, which will be the last time he played 75 games, where he started 28 games out of those 75, averaging 10 points per game. And then it really, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag from there, because if you look at the next year, second year in Milwaukee in 2017 to 18, he only played in 48 games and started 20. Year after that, he played in 64 games and started all 64. Then he goes to Indiana in 2019 to 2020, plays in 54, starts in 54. Next year, plays in 56, starts in 56. And then the year after that, plays in 36, starts in 36. So before I even get to the Boston year and the Portland year last year, what is the trend real quick? Well, when he plays, he starts. If you look at his third year in the league, that was where he started the trend of playing or starting every game he played. So, 64, then 54, then 56. But if you look at the number of games played and started, it is very far from the 82 mark, man. So injuries have been an issue with him his whole career in the NBA. Now, looking at the last couple of years real quick, in Boston, he plays 67 games, so a lot better. Not to that 75 games played like his rookie year, but definitely a step in the right direction, you would think. He did not start any games, and that was the year he won the Sixth Man of the Year award. And then last year with the Portland Trailblazers, he played in 39 games and started 25. So the injury bug, again, was an issue with Malcolm Brogdon. So is injury or a potential injury a red flag with Malcolm Brogdon? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why it's a big risk. I said this time and time again. I'm not going to get into what I liked, didn't like about the Denny trade. Y'all know I wasn't a big favor of it, even though I think that, obviously Denny was a tradable guy, I mean, it's not the fact that he got traded. It's just, but the fact that it ended up being Bo Carrington, I feel a lot better about it, because Bo Carrington is proven to be that dog and a guy who could be a long-term piece here in DC. And like I said, I hope Denny really does well in Portland, because if you look at their roster, man, in about 3 or 4 years, they're going to be really good. I mean, between him, Shaedon Sharp, Scoot Henderson, the list goes on. Klingon, Dominic Klingon's over there, DeAndre Ayton. So they're going to be good, man. I think they're going to be really, really good in the next 2 to 3 years, in my opinion. But I'll get back to the Wizards. Malcolm Brogdon carried risk when he came over from the Portland Trailblazers, because injuries have been an issue. And worst case scenario, if he gets hurt before the deadline and his injury takes him through the deadline, I mean, he's going to walk. So it's not too much of a risk. But then here's the thing. With a lot of these vets on the roster, you have to get value back, because that's the big reason why Will Dawkins made a lot of these moves. I mean, if you look at Saddiq Bey, could he be a future piece? Yes. But and you can also argue that he would not have gotten Saddiq Bey if he didn't have the ACL injury. He would have got a higher price tag, and he would not be in DC. So again, another under the radar move that I really like by Will Dawkins, man. But it carries risk. Same thing with Malcolm Brogdon. Is he the same player when he comes back? ACL is not a death sentence like it used to be, especially in basketball or even football. Most players come back and they still recoup some of the same skill level they had before. Now, not every player does, but most do now, especially in 2024. It's totally different. Like I said, it's not a death sentence where your game is forever changed. People do come back and they carry up the same level of production. Now, once you hit 2 or 3, man, that's when things start to change, man. Or, an ACL injury and coerced with another injury, like, it really become a problem. So, like I said, Saddiq Bey, we'll see on that front, because we may not see him this year. But getting back to Malcolm Brogdon, it does carry risk, because if he does get injured, getting closer to the deadline, you're not going to get much from him. And that would be the second time that we've had a point guard on the roster that we didn't get anything in return for. And like I said, kind of like Tyus Jones, minus the injury concerns, there's expectations that you may not get anything from him. And because if you look at the guys on the roster, Jonas Valanciunas is a guy that I definitely think we're going to get some compensation back, especially draft compensation, because he's going to be moved at this year at some point. Kyle Kuzma, I definitely think he has immense value as being that scorer. So do they decide to move him at the deadline? Do they decide to move him in the offseason? Does he play out his contract? A lot of questions with that. But like I said, Malcolm Brogdon is the riskiest one, in my opinion. He is slightly over Saddiq Bey, because like I said, my expectations are Saddiq Bey is going to come back. Now, maybe certain parts of the game may, decline a little bit because of the injury, but I think that he's going to still be a very productive young player in this league. But Malcolm Brogdon, man, like I said, he has dealt with his fair share of injuries. So big risk, y'all. Get in the comment section. Let me know. Are you guys concerned about Malcolm Brogdon's injury history, especially when it comes to getting close to the trade deadline? Because I'm a little concerned to a certain degree. But if he proves to be healthy, if he's productive, that you very well can see us move him and get some value back. So, like I said, get in the comment section. On what level are you concerned about a possible injury for Malcolm Brogdon? So we're going to get into, is Alex Sarr the current face of the franchise? And if not, is it Bilal, or could that person be in this next year's draft? I think so. So we're going to answer that question next. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. So you guys know I am a sports nut, sports fanatic. I am a sports head, baby. I go to games all the time. And when it comes to ticketing apps, to me, Gametime is the best one compared to the other ones. And there's three main reasons why. Number one, y'all, Gametime picks. Makes it easier to save more on sports events, but not just sports events, y'all. Concerts, comedy shows, theater events, etc. A lot of stuff, man. A lot of good stuff. Seat views. Get a view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what your view is going to be and whether you're getting good value for that ticket. All right, Gametime ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Lord. So I'm trying to tell you, man, three great reasons why you should definitely consider making Gametime your number one go-to when it comes to acquiring tickets for sporting events. Now, look, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime, baby. Thank you guys again for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. Now, look, for your second listen, go find Locked On NBA, where the local experts keep you updated daily on all the biggest storylines ahead of the regular season. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, everybody, let's round this thing out. And who is the current face of the franchise? Is it Alex Sarr? Is it Bilal Coulibaly? Or is that guy in the draft coming up? And so we're going to respond to an article through SI.com inside the Wizards, man. I know most of the writers over there, man. Dope content. So look, just like Bullets Forever, just like Wizards of Oz, if you are a Wizards head, man, and want great articles by the Wizards, definitely consider Sports Illustrated's Inside the Wizards, man, because they put out high quality content, man, keeping you up to date with everything Washington Wizards. So again, shout out to everybody over there. I know most of the people over there, they're good people, very informative people. They know basketball. So again, definitely consider making them your first stop amongst other stops of anything Wizards related, man. So let's get into the article through SI. So let's see. And its title is Alex Sarr, Washington's franchise player. Has Washington found its star of the future? All right, so NBA, and it says NBA teams are often able to land themselves a franchise star with a top 2 pick. The track record of these selections is nothing short of great. In the last year's draft, the Spurs took Wemby first overall, and then the Hornets, I'm about to say Bobcats, snagged Brandon Miller. The year prior, Paolo Banchero and Chet Holmgren were the top 2 picks. So looking at that, is Alex Sarr at number 2 overall the face of the franchise? And I'm going to say no. Now, looking at him and Bilal, I do believe both of them have star potential. Now, all-star, not yet. Face of the franchise, not yet. But I definitely think they're going to be a couple of really good core guys that help surround the face. This draft coming up is where I think we find our face of our franchise. Cooper Flagg is a guy who could be a face of the franchise. Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, these are guys who could be the face. Now, not to say that Bilal could not be. I think Bilal has great star potential. He's a guy that defensively is a dog, offensively very raw, but you see the potential with his ability to attack the basket, his athleticism, his dog mentality, his three-point shot, which is not broken and will get better this year. Alex Sarr, again, just kind of like Bilal, very, very raw. But he's a guy that once he figures out his offensive game on a consistent basis in the NBA for the Washington Wizards, he's going to be a threat. So, but right now, neither one of them are faces of the franchise. And I think that, honestly, both of them, I'm very high on Alex Sarr. I'm very high on Be Cool. And like I said, shout out to New Breaks New Man with the nickname, because like I said, that is probably one of the dopest nicknames, man. Be Cool, is definitely a guy that is he is a very important part of the young core going forward, man. But is he the face right now? Not yet. I don't think we have a face right now. I think that the face is either in the draft coming up, or we're clearly not going to have one for the next couple of years, man, because It could be Bilal. Alex Sarr could be Alex Sarr, number 2 overall. And that really brings up the problem, though, and it's not a problem, but kind of like what the article said, at number 2 overall, you're drafting the guy to be a face. You're drafting the guy to be one of those faces that you put on posters when it comes to advertising the future team. So could Alex Sarr be? Is he right now? No. I mean, you guys, let me know. And you guys end that question, and I'm going to put the poll out for you guys, but I'm a formally put it out. Is Alex Sarr the face of the franchise? I'm going to say no. I don't believe we have a face of the franchise. I think if you had to choose somebody, it's going to be between probably Jordan Poole or Kyle Kuzma. And it kind of shows you where we're at, right? I mean, nothing against Kyle Kuzma or Jordan Poole, because both of them know, and you guys know, big fans of both of them, man. I think that they've done well here in DC. They've done well off the court for DC. And I think that both of them have been great pieces of what we're doing here in the nation's cap, man. But, as far as being the future face, right now we don't have one, and we could find one with the draft coming up. Because like I said, Cooper Flagg has that star potential. He has all-star potential. And not to say that Bilal and Alex don't, but they're raw, man. If you look at the offensive game of Cooper Flagg, man, I mean, it's a lot more polished. Same thing with Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper. These are guys who they're more polished in the offensive game and what they bring to the table as far as the play style. And Bilal and Alex are very raw, and you're not going to see a finished product. You're not going to see them break out for 2, maybe 3 years. Especially in the case of Alex Sarr. Now with Bilal, you're probably looking at another year or 2 at the latest to formally see him break out, in my opinion. Because, looking at other players, Denny broke out in year 4. Corey Kispert, did Corey Kispert ever really break out? He's always been a consistent shooter, a guy who cuts to the basket, drives to the basket, high basketball IQ guy. So he's been who he is since day one, in my opinion. He just needed to be fine-tuned a little bit. So you guys let me know. Like I said, I'm going to put the poll out properly so you guys can go ahead and answer. But I'm going to say right now we don't have a young face of the franchise. And if you had to choose one, it's probably going to be between Clutch Kuz or Be Cool, in my humble opinion. So you guys let me know, man. So, all right, tomorrow night, we are going to go over. Matter of fact, I'm going to make it a surprise, y'all. It's going to be a surprise episode. So I will see you guys tomorrow night. And then Friday, we are going to roll live like we always do. And we're going to start the weekend off right like we always do. So, again, appreciate you guys, man. You guys definitely get in that comment section. When I put the poll out, definitely get active and vote for me. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Everybody have a good evening. Hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys next time.